I want to take a second to talk about something that might be a little personal for everyone. And here's the most uncomfortable thing that I've learned about personal growth. It's not hard, it's not complicated, it's not even rare. It's just corrupted. Like trying to build a new version of yourself on a folding table. Sure, you can do it, but the second you put any real weight on it, life, stress, boredom, the whole thing shakes, and you realize that your progress was never real. And the reason isn't discipline, it's a lot simpler than that. Isolation doesn't slow your growth, it corrupts it. We've made "I'm working on myself" sound like a sacred ritual or something. Like you're supposed to actually disappear into a cave, drink water, delete Instagram, and come back with emotional maturity and a personality people love. And yeah, solitude can be healthy, don't get me wrong. It can even be peaceful. But there's a line where solitude quietly turns into something else. It turns into a vacuum, and a vacuum doesn't make you strong, a vacuum makes you weird. Not quirky weird, not "I listen to vinyl" weird. I mean the kind of weird where your brain starts telling you stories and you have no one around to correct them. The kind of weird where you confuse avoidance for wisdom. I'm kinda challenging the viral villain arc right now, where the villain is treating growth like something you finish in private before you're allowed to be seen. That's the trap I'm talking about. The villain arc. You think that you need to get better first, get stable first, maybe even get successful. Then you'll show up. Then you'll date. Then you'll make friends, right? But what you're really doing is this. You're trying to become someone new without the conditions that make identity real. Let that sink in. Because identity is not a solo project, it's not a declaration, it's not a speech you give to the mirror. Identity is something that gets tested, which means if no one's around to test it, you don't have identity to change. You have imagination. What I'm saying is that villain arc is so dangerous, and it's the part that people don't like to hear because it removes the lone wolf cosplay that they throw on. Your brain needs other humans the way your phone needs a signal. And there's a concept that researchers talk about, basically the idea that other people act like a sounding board, so you're able to internally measure whether what you're thinking is sane, rational, proportional, and real. If you've ever had a terrible day and you talk to one normal person and you instantly feel less insane, that's not magic. That's your brain resyncing with reality. Without that, your brain doesn't get calmer, it gets louder. And when you remove regular contact and meaningful interaction for long enough, you don't just feel lonely, you start losing things you think that you're working on. Focus, judgment, memory, emotional stability, your ability to reason your way out of a spiral. Because your brain starts shifting power away from the parts that think and towards the parts that panic. So the cruel joke is, the more you isolate to improve, the more your mind starts becoming the kind of mind that can't maintain improvement. But Tonaruk, I'm alone and I'm just fine. I like being alone. Same. I love being alone. Being alone is clean. It's predictable. It never argues with you, never judges you, and it never misunderstands you. I get it. But listen carefully. The fact that you like being alone doesn't mean it's helping you. It might help you cope, recover, and avoid, but growth is completely different. Growth requires friction, and friction usually comes from other humans, because humans do something to you that routines can't. They force you to answer questions you can't dodge forever. Are you actually changing or just consuming content? Are you calm or unchallenged? Are you confident or unobserved? Are you disciplined or are you just controlling your environment? These are the things you need to ask yourself. Routine is not a substitute for people. This is where a lot of high-functioning people get trapped. They build the perfect routine. Gym, water, reading, journaling, work, sleep, repeat. And for a while it works. You feel better. And then you hit a ceiling that doesn't make sense. You're doing all the right things and you still feel stuck. Here's why. Routines are maintenance. But routines keep you trapped away from reality. A journal will not look at you and say, "Dude, you're spiraling." A treadmill won't challenge your identity. And a book can't tell you if you're lying to yourself. And if the only voice you hear all week is yours, eventually you stop growing and start mythologizing. You start building a story where you're the main character in a redemption arc. And redemption arcs are addictive because they don't require proof. You can just narrate them. Every creator, every ambitious person, every builder hits this phase. The vacuum phase. You make things in a vacuum for a long time, you grind, you obsess, you lock in. You tell yourself, "I'll show them when it's ready." And that mindset can be productive, right up until it becomes isolation. Because in a vacuum, two things happen. Your standards are drifting, and your brain starts talking like it's the only authority. You stop knowing if your work is good, you stop knowing if you're overworking, and you stop knowing if you're actually okay. You just know you're moving, and movement feels like progress. I'll do it myself as a survival mechanism, let's be honest. A lot of the I'll do it alone thing isn't strength, it's a survival mechanism. It's what you learned when you depended on someone and you were disappointed afterwards. Maybe you had friends who didn't get it, family who mocked it, coworkers who couldn't see past the job, people who loved you but only loved the version of you that stayed manageable. So you internalized the rule. If I do it alone, no one can ruin it, and that rule keeps you safe, but it also keeps you small, because you cannot become a bigger person inside a small social environment. Not because they're evil, because they're normal. And normal has gravity. Normal pulls you back to the baseline, and that's why you can't just do it yourself. When you're focused on your grind and you start to change, you'll start to lose people as well. It's not always dramatic, most of the time it's quiet. You talk differently, maybe care about different things. You guys stop laughing at the same jokes, and eventually it hits you. You're not better, you're not alone, you're just no longer compatible, and that hurts because you want growth without cost. You want evolution without grief. But that's not how it works, because you're basically trying to switch planets without losing oxygen for a minute. There's a transition phase, and the transition phase is lonely, which is why so many people retreat back to their old circle. Not because it was good, but because it was familiar. Familiar is a drug. So what are you supposed to do? Get new friends? No, relax. This is where self-help people start handing you a checklist, like join a group, find mentors, go to events. I'm not doing that, because this isn't about tactics. This is about growing with people who are like-minded. This is about one mechanical truth. To make growth stable, and to do that you need witnesses. Not fans, not cheerleaders, witnesses. People who see you enough to reflect reality back at you. You don't need 1,000 people, you need 1 or 2 real reference points. A person who can say you're not crazy, that you're slipping, and that you're avoiding things. Because when you're alone, you will call avoidance rest. Without a doubt, it's just gonna happen. You will call fear intuition, quitting is alignment, and procrastination is waiting for the right time. But the worst part is you'll sound intelligent doing it. I want you to go ahead and think about Markiplier. I've watched him for years. He showed up exhausted in a video, his voice was wrecked, his schedule was insane, and he was buried in a massive project. He didn't show up with a polished lecture, he just showed up to talk, to check in, to recalibrate. And he basically admits the most ambitious people won't say, "My friends keep me sane." That's it. Not my discipline, not my grind set, people. Because when you're locked into a project for weeks, your mind starts turning your world into a tunnel. And tunnels feel productive until you realize you haven't seen daylight. Here's the line you're gonna hate, but you need it. You can work on yourself alone, you just can't become alone. Because becoming is not private. Becoming requires feedback, friction. And if you don't have any of that, your growth becomes fragile. Which means the first time you get stressed, rejected, misunderstood, or tempted, you snap back to the old version of you like a rubber band. Not because you're fake, but because your new identity never got reinforced to the real world. Alright, so here's the fix, pal. You're asking, what do you do now? It's not a checklist, it's a principle. I want you to stop treating connection like a reward that you earn after you've healed, and start treating connection like the tool that does the healing. This means that you don't disappear until you're ready, you don't ghost the world so you can level up, and you don't wait until you're confident to be seen. I need you to let someone see the unfinished version. Which sounds terrifying, I get it, I know, trust me, I've been there. Because unfinished feels humiliating, but unfinished is the only version that can actually change. Here's a small way to do that won't make you puke. Pick one person, not 10, just one, and give them access to the part of your life that you normally isolate. Not everything, just the thing you're trying to grow. Maybe it's your fitness, maybe it's your business, maybe it's your sobriety, maybe it's your mental health. And I don't want you to ask them to fix you, I want you to ask them to check up on you. And what ends up happening is you just don't stop doing it in secrecy, because secrecy is where your brain starts rewriting reality.